People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Carl Jung. There's a video that went viral a few years ago. Andrew Tate sitting in his Bucharest compound, Bugatti in the background, cigar in hand, looking directly at the camera. "The Matrix has attacked me," he says. "But this isn't about me. This is about you. They want you weak. They want you broke. They want you confused about what it means to be a man." Millions of young men watched that video and believed every word. Andrew Tate is the most polarizing figure on the internet. To his followers, he's a prophet. The only man brave enough to tell the truth about masculinity, success, and power. To his critics, he's a dangerous misogynist, a con artist, a predator. But here's what's interesting. Both sides are responding to the same thing, a persona, deliberately constructed, carefully marketed, designed to trigger exactly these reactions. Because love him or hate him, you're still paying attention. And attention is the currency he trades in. In our previous videos, we've looked at shadow possession and integration. Elon Musk possessed by his darkness. Mike Tyson learning to integrate it. Kanye West unable to separate genius from madness. Today, we're looking at something different. What happens when someone weaponizes their persona? When they deliberately become the villain because the villain gets the most attention? When they sell you an identity instead of teaching you to build your own? This is Andrew Tate's story. And understanding it means understanding why millions of young men are desperate enough to believe him. Before the Bugattis and the controversy, there was a real person. Emory Andrew Tate III, born in Washington, D.C., 1986. Mixed race. Father was Emory Tate Jr., a chess international master. Brilliant, unconventional, and absent. His father left when Andrew was young. Moved back to the United States while Andrew and his brother Tristan stayed in England with their mother. This is the first wound. Abandonment. The question every abandoned son asks, what does it mean to be a man if the man who was supposed to show me is gone? Andrew found his answer in violence, kickboxing. And he was good, really good. 4-time ISCA world champion. This isn't fake. This isn't constructed. He fought. He won. He proved something. But here's what's important to understand. Fighting gave him an identity. Warrior. Champion. Alpha. It answered the question his father's absence created. And when you build your entire sense of self on being the strongest, the toughest, the most dominant, what happens when you stop fighting? You find another arena, another way to prove you're the alpha, another stage where you can dominate. For Andrew Tate, that stage became the internet, and the performance became permanent. As we explored in our Shadow Self video, Carl Jung understood that when you reject parts of yourself to survive, those parts don't disappear. They go underground. They become the shadow. For Tate, the rejected part was vulnerability, softness, the fear that without dominance, he's nothing. So he built a persona that could never be vulnerable, could never be weak, could never be anything except the alpha. But here's what nobody talks about. Before the persona took over completely, there was something much darker, something that reveals what he's really built on. This is the part Andrew Tate doesn't talk about much anymore, but it's documented in interviews, in his own words. Before he was famous, he made his first millions running a webcam business. Multiple women, Romania, men paying to talk to beautiful women online. Except the women weren't really talking to them. Andrew and his brother were. In his own words, from an interview, I had these girls, and I'd get them to talk to these guys. The guys would fall in love. And then I'd get the guys to send money. It was genius. He called it a business. But let's be clear about what it actually was. Exploiting lonely men's desperation for connection, using women as bait, manipulating emotions for profit. This is the foundation. This is what his empire is built on. Not kickboxing championships, not masculine wisdom. The systematic manipulation of male loneliness and female image. And here's the dark irony. The same men he was scamming back then, the lonely guys sending money to fake webcam girlfriends, they're the same demographic buying his courses now. He just changed the product. Instead of selling them fake female attention, he's selling them fake masculine identity. The mechanics are the same. Find what men are desperate for, package it, sell it, but never actually give them what they need. Jung talked about the shadow as the rejected parts of ourselves, but there's also collective shadow, the darkness we all share but don't acknowledge. Male loneliness, the father wound, the confusion about what masculinity means in the modern world. Tate didn't create these wounds, but he saw them, and instead of helping heal them, he built a business model on exploiting them. The webcam empire was just the prototype. What came next was the same con, just bigger. 2016. Andrew Tate appears on Big Brother UK, gets kicked off after 6 days. A video surfaces of him hitting a woman with a belt. He claims it's consensual, role play, taken out of context. But here's what's important. This is the moment he realizes something. Controversy gets attention. The villain gets more views than the hero. Outrage is more viral than inspiration. And he leans into it. Completely. Deliberately. The Bugatti, 33 cars, the cigars, the chessboard, the compound in Romania. I moved to Romania because they don't prosecute sexual assault as aggressively. He said this, on camera. Every element is calculated. Every interview designed to provoke. He's not trying to be liked. He's trying to be impossible to ignore. He starts saying things like, women are property. Depression isn't real. If you're broke, you're stupid. Extreme statements. Designed to trigger, to spread, to make you share the video while being outraged. This is persona construction at its most deliberate. Carl Jung defined the persona as the mask we wear for the world, the role we play. For most people, the persona forms unconsciously. Social conditioning, family expectations, cultural norms. But Tate is different. He's consciously building a character, the ultimate alpha, the man who says what others are afraid to say, the villain in a world of weak men. And it works. By 2022, he's one of the most searched people on the internet. More Google searches than Donald Trump. His courses, Hustlers University, bring in millions per month. Young men, mostly teenagers, paying $50 a month to learn the secrets of wealth and masculinity. But here's the question. Is this persona real? Is Andrew Tate actually this person? Or is he playing a character because the character makes money? In our Kanye West video, we talked about the tragedy of confusing your persona with your true self. Kanye genuinely can't tell the difference anymore between his genius and his illness. Tate is different. He knows exactly what he's doing. The persona is a product, and the product sells because it fills a void, not in him, in the millions of boys and men watching. So why does it work? Why do millions of young men worship someone so obviously performing? Because they're desperate. And desperation makes you vulnerable to anyone offering certainty. There's an epidemic nobody's talking about: the father wound. Boys growing up without fathers, or with fathers who are physically present but emotionally absent. Men who never learned what masculinity means because no one showed them. The statistics are staggering. In the United States, nearly 1 in 4 children live without a father in the home. In the UK, similar numbers. These boys grow up with a hole, a question that never gets answered. What does it mean to be a man? And society's not helping. Traditional masculinity is called toxic, but no one's offering a replacement. Just vague advice about being yourself and showing emotions, which sounds nice, but doesn't actually answer the question these boys are asking. Enter Andrew Tate, offering absolute clarity. Simple rules: women are feminine, men are masculine. Strength is good, weakness is death. Make money, get women, dominate. This is what a man is. It's wrong, it's shallow, it's built on shadow projection. But it's clear. And for a boy who's been lost his whole life, clarity feels like truth. Carl Jung talked about archetypes, universal patterns of human experience: the father, the warrior, the king, the magician. These aren't just concepts. They're psychological structures we all need to develop. When a boy doesn't have a father to model these archetypes, he projects them onto someone else. A celebrity, a guru, a strong figure who seems to have it figured out. Tate isn't teaching these boys to develop their own inner king or warrior. He's selling them a costume, a persona they can buy. For $50 a month, you can be part of the tribe. You can have the secret knowledge. You can be one of the real men. But it's not real. It's shadow possession disguised as shadow integration. He's taking their father wound and monetizing it, taking their confusion about masculinity and selling them a caricature. And the boys who follow him, they're not stupid. They're not evil. They're just desperate for someone to tell them they're going to be okay, that they're not alone, that there's a path forward. Tate saw that desperation, and instead of genuinely helping, he built an empire on it. December 29th, 2022. Romanian authorities raid Andrew Tate's compound in Bucharest. He and his brother Tristan are arrested. Charges: human trafficking, rape, forming an organized crime group. The allegations are serious. 6 women claiming they were coerced into making adult content, forced to work, prevented from leaving. The prosecution alleges the same webcam model from years ago, just evolved, more sophisticated, but the same manipulation. Tate denies everything, claims it's a conspiracy, the Matrix attacking him, trying to silence a man who tells the truth, and his followers believe him. Of course they do, because they've invested in the persona. If Tate is a fraud, then the identity they bought is fake, and they can't afford for that to be true. This is how persona possession works. When you build your identity on someone else's image, you can't let that image crack, even when the evidence is overwhelming, even when the mask starts to slip. In our Elon Musk video, we saw shadow possession, the darkness driving unconsciously. In our Mike Tyson video, we saw shadow integration, facing the darkness and transforming it. Andrew Tate is neither. He's consciously using his shadow, weaponizing it. The aggression, the dominance, the manipulation. He's not unconscious of it. He's not integrating it. He's selling it. But here's what happens when you do that. Eventually, the shadow demands its due. You can perform the villain. You can play the alpha. But if there's no real substance underneath, if it's all persona and no self, it collapses. We don't know yet if the charges are true. That's for courts to decide. But what we do know is this: The persona that made him famous, the untouchable alpha, the man who says the Matrix can't touch him, is now sitting in a Romanian jail cell. The question isn't whether he's guilty or innocent. The question is, what does it mean when the thing you've built your entire identity on cracks? For Tate, maybe nothing. Maybe he rebuilds. Maybe this becomes part of the mythology. The man who fought the system and won. But for the millions of boys following him, this is a different lesson. And it's a lesson they need to hear. So what do we learn from Andrew Tate? First, beware anyone selling you an identity. Real masculine development, real psychological growth, it's not something you can buy. It's not a course. It's not a persona you put on. It's slow, internal work, and nobody can do it for you. Second, if someone is making millions by telling you the world is against you and only they have the answers, they're not your teacher. They're your dealer. And what they're selling is the feeling of certainty, not actual truth. Third, the father wound is raw. The confusion about masculinity is real. The loneliness young men feel is real. But the answer isn't Andrew Tate. The answer isn't buying a persona. The answer is doing the hard work of integrating your own shadow. Building your own inner father, warrior, king, magician. As we explored in our Shadow Self video, integration means making the unconscious conscious, bringing the rejected parts into the light. For men, that often means facing the vulnerability you've been running from. The fear that you're not strong enough, not man enough, not worthy enough. Tate offers an escape from that fear. Just follow the rules. Make money. Dominate women. Be the alpha. And you'll never have to feel weak again. But it's a lie. Because the fear doesn't go away when you put on a persona. It just gets buried deeper. And the deeper it gets buried, the more power it has over you. Mike Tyson learned this. He spent his whole life being the baddest man on the planet. And it almost destroyed him. It was only when he stopped running from his vulnerability, when he faced the scared little boy from Brownsville who loved pigeons, that he found peace. Andrew Tate is still running, still performing, still selling the image of strength while hiding from actual strength, which is the ability to be vulnerable and survive it. And the boys following him are running too, from their father wounds, from their confusion, from the fear that they'll never figure out how to be men. But you can't run forever. Eventually, you have to stop. Face the shadow, integrate it, or let it possess you. The choice isn't between being an alpha or being weak. The choice is between buying someone else's persona or building your own authentic self. Tate will tell you that's weakness, that real men don't need therapy or self-reflection or emotional work. But Mike Tyson, who was a real fighter, not a performance artist, will tell you different. Real strength is facing your darkness, not selling it. Your father wound, your confusion about masculinity, your fear of being weak, these are not problems Andrew Tate can solve, because he has the same wounds. He's just better at hiding them behind Bugattis and cigars. The real work is internal. It's hard. It's slow. And nobody's going to pay $50 a month to hear that. But it's true. So the question is, do you want to buy a persona? Or do you want to build a self? Andrew Tate is selling one. Mike Tyson showed you the other. Which path will you choose? If you want to understand real masculine development and the archetypes Andrew Tate is exploiting, I recommend a few books. Man and His Symbols by Carl Jung is the foundation. How archetypes work. Why we project them. How to integrate them instead of being possessed by them. king, warrior, magician, lover by Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette breaks down the 4 primary masculine archetypes. What they look like when healthy, what they look like when shadow-possessed. Essential reading for understanding what real masculinity is versus what Tate is selling. Iron John by Robert Bly is about the men's movement and the father wound. How boys become men when fathers are absent. It's poetic, mythological, and deeply psychological. The Way of the Superior Man by David Tate is about masculine purpose and energy, not the performance of masculinity, the actual experience of it. Controversial in some circles, but valuable. No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover addresses the shadow side of masculinity, the passive-aggressive nice guy who's actually manipulative. Understanding your own masculine shadow so you don't project it. All links are in the description. Some are affiliate links, which means if you buy through them, it supports this channel at no extra cost to you. I only recommend books I've read and believe are valuable. If you don't have time to read full books, I use Blinkist for 15-minute summaries. Audible is also great for audiobooks. Links to both in the description. If Andrew Tate's story made you think, let me know in the comments. Do you think he believes what he's selling? Or is it pure performance? Have you ever been tempted to buy a persona instead of building a self? And if you found this valuable, hit the like button. It helps more people find these videos. Subscribe for weekly deep dives into psychology, shadow work, and the patterns that run our lives. New videos every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Next week, we're looking at Joe Rogan, the trickster archetype, the man who can talk to anyone about anything, why controversy follows him, and why millions trust him more than traditional media. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.